Podtacular, the unofficial Halo Universe podcast, presents episode 686, E3 2019 pre-show, recorded live on June 6th, 2019. Hello everyone, welcome to Podtacular, the unofficial Halo Universe podcast. I am your host, Deathstorm.
And I'm your co-host, Godzilla T.
And welcome to the week before E3, where we'll actually get a firm Halo Infinite trailer. Yay!
Maybe.
Most likely. We'd be very surprised if we didn't, we'll put it that way. With all the hype that's going into this E3 and not the fact, but the likelihood that Halo's going to be coming out next year, there's very, very likely going to be a trailer of some kind. And we're
possibly. I think Xbox is just going to talk about their new line of hygiene products. Because, there's soap.
That's diversifying a lot.
Because there's a lot to talk about when it comes to soap and deodorant and mouthwash.
Well, it's kind of interesting because with the Xbox One, they want it to be the all-in-one console for entertainment. So now they're kind of taking that all-in-one mindset and putting it into hygiene.
I like the way Laird put it. Gamers stink. Thanks.
Gamers do stink. I mean, just like everyone else in the world, though. So, yeah.
Now, next will be the Xbox energy drink.
So in the social stream yesterday, they were talking about the fact that there was the hygiene products from Xbox and joked around that it should smell like Mountain Dew because that's what gamers drink, apparently.
Either that or G Fuel.
Yeah, one of those two. And yes, the great Whoopdini in Twitch is saying gamers could use the help, and
there are some of them out there, yes.
Yes, there definitely are some.
So you can be minty fresh.
It depends on what the gamer definition of minty fresh is. Doritos and Mountain Dew.
Maybe they're doing it so you can smell like you're a gamer.
Ah.
See?
You might be onto something. But yes, if anyone hasn't heard, there is I don't know if this, I guess, is necessarily for E3 specifically, but I guess because it's kind of leading up to E3, it just happens to coincide with it. But yeah, Xbox legitimately has a hygiene line, and it's kicking off in Australia during the week of E3. Go figure. In Australia, of all places.
Yeah. Maybe I ought to order a bottle of shampoo just to, kind of keep right back there on the wall.
Just as a decoration. That'd be fun. Open it up a year later, see if it still smells good.
Or I'll see if I can order the full line and I'll put the shelf back there and just, product placement. And then, maybe Xbox will pay me.
There you go. Thanks for the sub again, Pins. 45 months. Getting close to 4 years. Thanks, dude. Love the support, man. Really appreciate it. So thank you. All right, so we've got a little bit of E3 speculation that we're going to talk about today. We've got plenty of things from Halo Waypoint that we're going to talk about. We've got some playlist updates that we'll also discuss, and a little bit of Halo Outpost Discovery news as well. Big topic, obviously, is going to be E3 with that coming up next week. So we'll get to that here in a little bit. But as we normally start the show off with, we'll do a quick recap over our streams last week, which didn't didn't turn out to be any, actually, on both of our parts.
Unfortunately for Fraggin' Fridays, this stream lasted, I think, a whole 30 minutes. I was having some audio issues, as in there was none. So that doesn't make a very interesting stream. And it took me about 4 hours to figure out what the heck was going on. And I still wasn't able to fix the actual problem. I just had to go about getting the audio in the stream a different way. So now it's even more roundabout than it was before. So fingers crossed, tomorrow night we should have good audio. I've done some testing, and so far it's worked all right.
That's good. For those that are watching live, you know that Facebook's been down for a little bit, so I'm trying to work on getting that connection restored. Tried to update the stream key tonight, didn't work, so I got a little more troubleshooting to do on there. But on Sunday, I didn't stream. I was feeling down a little bit, so I didn't really feel up to be streaming. But did play with Laird and got 7 achievements in Halo Wars Definitive Edition. Most of them being the mission-specific ones. I think there's only one mission-specific one that we did not get, and that's the one where you ram 50 grunts with the Warthog on the very first mission.
That one is you have to be very careful with that one, because there's only about 50 grunts on the map.
Yeah.
So you've got to be really, really attentive with that Warthog to get that one to work.
I might have to try that one solo, see if I can get it.
Yeah, it works better if you take one of the, as soon as you get one of the other Warthogs.
Yes.
And start using those, because it doesn't have the grenade launcher.
Well, thankfully, that first encounter is all elites.
Yeah.
It's still frustrating,
and you just kind of got to sneak up until you see the grunt and then ram it, and then you got to immediately retreat.
Run away!
I would recommend turning on the skull that makes your ability recharge faster.
We did try that.
So that it doesn't take so long.
Yes.
Yeah, I think when I went through and did it, it was like 20 minutes or so, just ramming grunts. Go ram, run, go ram, run.
That's at least not as bad as the Reach one, which I'm kind of curious if they're going to bring that one back with MCC. I think it was if they came to hear me beg, that's where you fall from a great height and survive by assassinating.
If they do that elite one, I'm going to shoot someone.
Yeah.
I will literally shoot someone. No. I actually have a screenshot from when I actually got the achievement. Unfortunately, I don't have a picture of it with the achievement on screen, because it was the in-game theater,
right?
Which that stuff doesn't show up on. But I actually I went through and got a screenshot of when I actually got the achievement, because I was so proud, and that took about 4 hours of jumping off that stupid cliff.
I think it took me 3 hours to get it. Yeah, that's not a fun achievement. If anyone wants to know what that achievement is for some of our, I guess, younger audience members or more recently introduced to Halo audience members, just look it up on YouTube and you'll see how frustrating it is. Or heck, you might be able to experience it next year.
Yeah. Well, if you want to experience it, just pick up Reach for 360 and go try to get that one. And then there was someone else said you could do it on the tip of the spear.
You could. It was a little more difficult. Well, it's kind of funny because in a way it was easier because you didn't have to really jump out as far and possibly get short of the landing for the elite, but you were relying on the jump pack elites being able to be in a position where you could get the assassination. So it was easier in the fact that you could you have a little more maneuvering room on tip of the spear, but on the last mission, which I forget what the mission is actually called in Reach, that was just you knew what that path was, and it was just trying over and over again until you could actually get the assassination without hitting the ground. Versus the tip of the spear where you released in the air.
I backsmacked that elite and survived. Didn't get
Probably
the assassination. Literally just backsmacked the elite. And I'm like, ugh.
And then there's all those times where you get the assassination, but because you bumped the elite right before the assassination, it canceled the achievement. Yeah.
It is frustrating.
It's a frustrating achievement, to say the least.
The nice thing is at least they put a checkpoint right there.
Yes, that is true. So you're just playing the same section over and over again 100 times before you get it.
Yeah, you're playing the same, 30 seconds of campaign over and over and over and over and over again.
And the same line of dialogue over and over.
After about 30 minutes, I turned off the volume.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I muted it. I couldn't listen to it anymore.
Yeah. Oh, Futch is saying in the realm of terrible time-consuming achievements in Halo, it's not in the top 10. I wonder what your top 10 list is.
Getting a double kill with a Spartan laser?
Other than Lazo. Other than Lazo, Futch. Other than Lazo. I don't know. I'm guessing there are definitely some time-consuming achievements that are just because you have to play through certain achievements. But like one achievement that takes literally 30 seconds to get, but you have to try it over and over again to get that 30 seconds perfect. That's time consuming because of you just have to play that much to get to the achievement is one thing, but time consuming in that you're just trying it over and over and over and over again. That's a very different experience.
Yeah, I think I've got as many hours trying to get that stupid Spartan laser double kill as I do that reach achievement.
I still need that one. I still need 4 of those FFA matchmaking achievements for Halo 3.
Yeah. I was so happy when I finished that last one. Yay!
And those are the only 4 achievements I need in Halo 3. It's just those.
Mm-hmm.
I need to get over onto the Halo Completionist Discord and get some people to help me get that one.
Yeah.
Definitely recommend checking them out, though, if you need any achievements.
Jump back into Reach and finish up my achievements. Unfortunately, they're all matchmaking and they're all DLC achievements.
I was helping some folks from the completionist side actually with some of those achievements. So I'd say hop in there and ask for some help because there's usually people in there pretty consistently offering to help out. So yeah. Well, that's it, kind of the wrap up on the stream stuff, even though there wasn't really any streams this past week. But we'll be back on Fraggin' Friday tomorrow. GT will be there. I will not. Got some. We're going over to a friend's house for a grill out tomorrow night, and I don't know what time we're coming home. There's a possibility I might catch the tail end of it, but I don't think I'll be there this week. But I'll be there. I plan on being there next week. I will be back from E3 by that time. And no stream on Sunday either because I will be in LA for E3. So GT's holding down the streaming fort for this weekend. There you go. All right, let's move on into some Halo Waypoint articles. We've got the community update from last week, which we briefly touched on because we had our Bad Blood podcast. We've got just a reminder for E3 daily logons. If you log on to Halo 5 every day of E3, you will be rewarded with a daily login premium rec pack. So not just the regular daily, not premium, platinum rec pack. It's not premium.
Premium platinum.
Premium platinum. And right now in Halo 5, they actually have it where you can buy platinum rec packs. You can buy one for 20,000 rec points or 369, something like that. And then with cold hard cash, you can buy a set of 3 platinum and a set of 5 platinum. And they're doing that to help people unlock their final armor if people want to spend the money to do that. Or spend the rec points too.
Yeah. Rec points. Yay.
Yay. So yep, starting Sunday, June 9th, which is the Xbox, when the Xbox press briefing's going to happen, all the way through Thursday, June 13th, you can log in and get your Platinum pack. So that's 5 packs for you to pick up. It's a worthwhile.
20,000. Let's see. I got 135,000. Of course, I've got everything unlocked.
There's lots of boosts, XP boosts in that if you need to continue that 152 grind.
Yeah, I could do that. Okay, I'm gonna buy one, and then I'm gonna open it and see what I get. Let's see. Yes, I'm sure I want to buy the stupid thing. Open the pack.
Da, 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 da.
Arena XP boost, Arena XP boost, Arena XP boost. All legendaries. Warzone XP boost, legendary. Warzone RP boost, rare. I got a Wasp.
Hey.
A Celine's Lance. Haven't seen one of those in a while.
Yeah.
An Answer, a White Scar, a Didact Signet, and a Scorpion.
Okay. So 5 boosts and the rest of them Rex. Very cool. So, yep, make sure you get your daily Platinum packs starting on the 9th. And if you want to go in and spend some of your extra rec points for some boosts, then you can do that as well.
Ooh, did another one, got a Hannibal Mantis.
Ooh. Got a Phaeton yet? that hit a little too close to home.
Dust. Keep it clean. By the way, I just got a Phaeton Helios.
Oh, see? There you go. There you go. That's funny. So, yep, there you go. Spend your rec points. Get some cool stuff.
Yeah, spend them. Spend them.
And I think a lot of the normal rec stuff was probably rare or legendary weighted as well.
Looks like, yeah.
Or a good mix of them.
You're getting like 3 to 4 rares. And then you'll get 2 to 3 ultra rares. And then usually like 4 legendaries, whether it be 4 boosts or 3 boosts and a weapon, something like that. So I mean,
cool.
If you're still chasing arena boosts, it's a good play. It's a good way to get them.
Yeah, certainly. I need to get on that grind again at some point, but for now there's Halo Outpost Discovery that needs to be prepared for. So, well, I'll get back around to it. We've got a playlist update from last week, which I think we missed for MCC. A lot of this has to do with adjustments in Halo 3's Infection game mode, and then there's some Halo 4 Rumble Pit changes as well. So they've added brains to Narrow's Epitaph and Haunted Manor, which is on Foundry, and they removed it from Isolation and Rat's Nest. They removed Saved One Bullet from Epitaph, Narrows, and Haunted Manor, and they removed Creeping Death from Epitaph, Guardian, Snowbound, and Blackout. And for the Halo 4 change, they changed Legendary Slayer map variants in Halo 4 Rumble Pit to remove duplicate power weapons. And since we're on the topic, we'll go ahead and talk about this week's MCC playlist update. Pretty slim. Not much going on here. Mostly quality of life improvements. And then we've got a few other updates as well. Actually, this update's a little bit longer than I thought it was.
A little bit.
But first up, they increased the rank delta for Halo 2 Classic Hardcore from plus and minus 10 to plus and minus 15. And they increased that same rank delta for Halo 2 Anniversary. So this is when you're going into matchmaking and they're trying to match you up against a certain skill range. They've widened it a little bit, probably due to population, but that's one of the things that they're looking, or hopefully will help with matchmaking.
Yeah, I hope it does too.
And then Postums actually outlines quite a few things that they're planning to release next week, because next week is E3, and there's a possibility he might not be there to actually post the update. But they've got some updates for both Halo CE and Halo 2 planned. So on the Halo CE front, they're looking to implement some fixes to vehicle sets used in Big Team Battle, adjustments to remove PC weapons and other feedback tweaks to Mayhem, added a toggle to turn on and off betrayal booting, fixing an issue where a user could auto-kick themselves after being betrayed by a guest profile. That's funny.
That's interesting.
That's funny. That's just straight up funny. It's like, oops, guest kicks it and kicks the whole party. Fixed an issue to allow for betrayal booting in custom games. New time limits have been added. New King of the Hill score to win values have been added. New Slayer score to win values have been added. Fixed the crash. Just generically fixed the crash. And then removed auto aim and red reticle on the rocket launcher to align with Legacy. And he provides some screenshots to some of the changes. So the updated values or new values for score to win, time limit, betrayal booting, and all that stuff. There's also some additional King of the Hill score options that are looking to be implemented as a fix that the community has identified. In Halo 2 Classic, they're also looking to fix an issue which made kill trading significantly more common than in Legacy, and adjusted gamma values to align visuals with original Halo 2. And the Halo 2 Anniversary contest winner maps from the Podtacular will be added into matchmaking. Last update is an emblem fix, where they are fixing the spider emblem background.
Important stuff.
So there you go. Upcoming updates for next week, some Halo CE fixes, a couple of Halo 2 fixes, and an emblem fix. Next up on the list, we have another round of... Well, actually, I'm jumping ahead a little bit. I forgot to go back to the community update from last week. June calendar for playlist rotations on Halo 5. June 4th kicked off the summer 2019 arena season. So that took place on Tuesday this week. Big Team Battle moves to ranked for the season. Forerunner Slayer rotates in social matchmaking for Roman King. On June 13th, we get Halo 1 Anniversary Throwback, which rotates in for Castle Wars, and Warzone Assault goes live. June 20th, Rock and Rail rotates in for Forerunner Slayer. On June 27th, Husky Raid rotates in for Halo 1 Anniversary Throwback. And I'm wondering if we're going to see some of those maps from the contest make it in.
I'm thinking, since they have in parentheses new, so I'm betting there's probably going to be some new maps.
I'm
guessing
guessing
they're playing
is.
having an actual playlist, then yeah, that's probably pretty important, because I think currently there were like 3 Husky Raid maps out there that were actually ready for matchmaking.
They were actually good. Also on June 27th, Warzone Turbo returns. And to answer the infamous question, no, I did not play it this weekend because I got some Halo Outpost Discovery toys, which I will show on stream for a second. I have a whole bunch of little Arduino project stuff for game show buttons that I'm creating for Outpost Discovery. So those actually happened to come in on Friday. So I decided to start playing around with this stuff. And I spent 4 hours on Saturday messing around with this stuff. And I'll be playing around with it more this weekend before I head out to E3.
You better get that done.
So I've got a month.
Yes, we know how Dust works too.
So I actually got the baseline code all done. So the only code now I have to write is actually I have little wireless modules. This might not even show up on stream or whatnot, but it's a little board with a wireless module on it. And to make the Arduinos talk to each other, I want them to be able to be wireless. And I just have to write the code for that. And this is optional, but not required. But I have chips that can take SD cards, and it's supposed to be an MP3 player, and I have speakers that are coming in. But right now, I can't get the chips to talk with the Arduino. But it's an optional thing. It's not a hard requirement for my project, but it's a nice to have. But the base code is done. And now I just have to build the thing. But for people who are watching live stream, I know this is not going to make any sense for people downloading, but when I finish these, I'll actually probably post these on Twitter or Instagram. But I've got big arcade style buttons, and it's a legitimate arcade style button. So I'm pretty stoked about this project, to be perfectly honest.
Whatever happened to just connecting a button to a light and making it light up?
Because I want to make it to where if someone pushes a button, it locks out all the other buttons from lighting up and not knowing who pushed the button first. So I won't waste too much time on the podcast just explaining it. I'll take some other time to do it, but
anyway.
Yeah. So there's that I was playing with instead of playing Warzone Turbo. I was a little excited.
And here I spent the weekend
so going back,
putting an evaporator core in the wife's Jeep. That was fun. Yeah,
I mean, it's important.
You got to make sure the wife's got air conditioning.
That would be helpful. I'm sure she appreciates it. Everything else on the community update from last week, I think we've touched on. So we'll go ahead and move over to our next Waypoint article, which is an introduction to Face It Ignite, which is a new grassroots partnered program that is bringing competitive Halo to Europe. Face It is the organization that 343 has partnered with in the HCS grassroots program. And Face It Ignite is going to be a Halo European Open tournament on Halo 3 taking place at Twickenham Stadium. I am not making that up. In London on August 17th and 18th.
And apparently OneNote's dictionary needs to be updated because it wants to spell check that. Anyway.
I don't think that's a very common name, if anything. But there's going to be a 4v4 and a 2v2. The 4v4 is offering $25,000. I'm surprised if it's a European tournament. They don't have that in euros.
Maybe they converted it for
and
us.
The 2v2 is going to be... Maybe.
Or they just forgot to put the EU next to it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't know. But for now, it says $25,000 for the 4v4 and $5,000 for a 2v2. For the qualifiers, there will be online qualifiers for North America and Europe, and the top team from North America and 2 teams for EU will be flown out to the event to compete. I guess that might be why it's in dollars, because there's actually some North American participation in it. For the LAN Open, it's going to be open to 32 teams, split into 4 groups of 8. The top 16 move into the winners bracket, and the next 8 move into the elimination bracket. The bottom 8 will be completely eliminated from the competition. The 2v2 tournament, as a sign up, will be held in Halo 5 only. You can head over to halo.gg/Ignite 2019 for more details about the tournament. But that's the latest partnership and tournament that is coming up for HCS Grassroots. It's nice that Europe is getting a little bit of love over there. Shout out to all our European folks like Receptor and Jack and some others that I'm sure I'm missing. Next up is HCS Grassroots Content Creators Wave 3 was announced. So the latest additions are Saiyan, who's a competitive player. I forget for which team he has played in the past, but it's been on a couple different teams. Reclaimer, who's been a pretty active streamer. Ishi, which I haven't heard of, but he's a Seattle native, known for his YouTube montages with no-scope overkills. And then Shyway, who's also been a competitive Halo player as well. Next application window for the HCS Grassroots program is July 1st to July 31st. So for the whole month of July. So there you go. Cyan is on Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter. Reclaimer's on, well, I guess they're all 3 of these are Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter. Cyan, Reclaimer, Ishi, and Shyway.
Yeah.
So congrats, guys. Looking forward to the content that you guys are going to be putting out there. Next up is another Discovery Dispatch.
Mm-hmm.
So a little more information about our favorite Outpost Discovery.
I really like what they're doing with these things. These are, they're putting a lot of information in these things that people want to know. They're showing us the people that are actually building the Outpost Discovery, and not just saying, "Hey, these people did this work." They're showing them actually working on the stuff, which is actually kind of cool.
Well, and I'm hoping it's helped kind of get people interested who may not have necessarily been interested before actually wanting to go to Outpost, whether or not this year, and if they continue to do it for future years, to at least try to find a way to get to one in the future.
I tell you what, this Elite is looking freaking wicked.
And so the detail on it is incredible. I'm wondering if, because for those who have ever been around cosplayers for Halo, one of the things that you'll regularly hear is the fact that the armors designed in the game are not designed to be worn in real life, because in video games you have clipping of armor pieces and other things that you don't have to worry about in game because there's no collision, but in real life it doesn't exactly work out. So I think they've done a lot better job with this in the later games, because I think the 405th and some of the other cosplaying communities out there have really voiced that, hey, we want to wear these armors, but the way that they're actually built in the game and design doesn't translate to real world analogs. So they've done a really good job with it, but I'm kind of wondering in the back of my head if some of the stuff that's been built for Outpost they've taken and said, oh, this kind of doesn't fit, and they've had to readjust some things, and I wonder if that's going to translate into the development of Infinite.
I'm sure it will probably inspire them to watch it a little bit more closely. Reach was, Reach, with all the armor customization that it has, probably was the worst game when it came to that, because a lot of your shoulder plates or upper arm plates would interfere with the chest. And in game that's fine, because you're not really looking at that when you're playing anyway. You're looking at the back model. You're not looking at your Spartan. But yeah, you can see where the shoulder plates cut into the chest, and it's like,
especially when you see like the melee animation and the arm is coming into the chest piece. Yeah. Anyway, it's just a random spurious.
Well, yeah, it's over there. I've seen other games do the same thing with different animations where you have something pass through the body. It's like, couldn't you just make that go the other way? Because they used a live model to model the action, and so how did you not catch that? It's probably a simple fact that whatever they're using is not the same length as what they picture in the actual game action. Yeah, I think it'll probably will affect the in-game armors a little bit more.
I'm thinking like you said, there would probably be a little bit of influence or inspiration there. This one is focusing on the Hall of History, which Grim has said has been described as the beating heart of the Outpost experience, which I think for lore fans definitely makes sense. And that's kind of the whole point of Outpost, is to be this encompassing Halo experience. And obviously you want to know the backstory of the Halo universe. So it kind of makes sense that would be considered the heart of the experience.
And I kind of like the way, they've got a shot of proposed display for the Hall of History. And I like the way they've kind of laid it out. They've given it it is a very futuristic look. Instead of being, the art around, in this case, Master Chief, the way they've done it, it does look like they are, just large TVs, but they're not. But, large displays, you see in a lot of, futuristic type genres.
Well, so I think a lot of the stuff, if you look at the stuff on the floor, is going to be silk screen print type stuff, and then the screens up top are probably going to be TVs of some kind.
But I mean, even just the silk screen stuff, it makes it look like a large display. It doesn't look like like a sheet of paper with printing on it.
High quality stuff, which will be really, really cool. So a lot of the stuff they talk about in here is the fact that they're doing a lot of 1-to-1 scale weapon replicas. There's going to be a lot of weapon 1-to-1 scale. They showcase the Needler, which looks really, really cool.
Massive.
I have my life-sized one down here somewhere. I think it's over by my TV.
Maybe after the break.
But yeah, it's massive. It's massive. Yeah.
But yeah, they show a picture of one of them in the update, and just from the grip where the trigger is to the back of the Needler is the length of the guy's forearm. I mean, it's that freaking long. And, that's just huge.
Yes, it is. I have to go back into Halo and see if it scales well to an actual Marine. Because for some reason, I don't think it scales quite that way to a Marine in game.
I don't think it does. In game, it looks so much smaller. Granted, most of the time when you're looking at it, it's the Master Chief holding it.
Right, and that scale is just so not out of proportion, but you don't get appreciate the scale looking from Master Chief's point of view. There's also an Elite head and armor set, which is super detailed and looks really, really amazing. That's legitimately like creepy awesome.
Yeah, I half expect to see saliva coming off the teeth of this Elite. That's how realistic it looks.
The teeth look real, the gums look real, the mandibles all look real. They've done an incredible job with everything that they've worked on so far. So they've got I guess this isn't technically the Arbiter, but it's a Sangheili Ultra. They don't give a name to this one specifically,
not have
but
decided the name of this particular elite yet.
That's true. For the most part, though, it's a Spartan. Whether it's Master Chief or not is up for debate, I guess. And then an Elite.
Well, I think in the actual Vidoc that they did on it, that is the Master Chief. He's just not green yet.
Okay, so that one is very nice. And they mentioned about getting the VIP upgrade in there as well. We've talked about some of the VIP perks that you can get. And then they've also included in this update, which I guess they didn't include in previous Discovery dispatches before, but just some of the behind the scenes that we've talked about previously.
They currently have 3 episodes. They have 2 of them in the update. The third one is on their YouTube. So I would recommend you check it out. That one is about the Warthog.
Yeah. And I found it interesting that they started out with a Honda.
I'm not very impressed with the builders. I mean, I understand that it's a showpiece, but really? At least start with something that's 4-wheel drive?
You would have a lot better input on this than I think anyone else in the community.
They're not out to build a real Warthog. They are building something that looks real. And building an actual Warthog, as it appears in the game, is extremely difficult. And I'm not faulting them for that, because to build the way they show the Warthog in the different games, it would be a very expensive build. And in some cases, like the original Warthog in Halo 1, almost impossible to build. Just the physics of the vehicle would make it to the point where in no way, shape, or form would it be safe to travel at any speed.
Not to mention, because just looking at the scale of how Jeff was sitting in it and the other Warthog that they've had, a normal person can't drive that, and Marines are driving Warthogs in the game.
Yeah, the thing that always got me is that the scale never seemed to be right. Because you have Marines, the Marines have to be able to drive the Warthog. So when Master Chief gets in it, his head should be sticking above the window. But it's not. So it's not, the vehicle doesn't scale to Master Chief correctly. If they actually wanted to build one to scale, they need to use a Marine for reference, not Master Chief.
Kegels or Megavolt, who is one of the 405th members and who's been showing me around Halo or VR chat and all the Halo stuff they've been working with, he actually loaded up a Reach map, and the Spartan models are to scale and the tank is to scale. And the funny thing is, if you get into a tank, the Spartan actually sticks outside of the cockpit, because apparently when you actually get into a vehicle in Halo, the model actually scales down to fit in. So you're right. The scale is scaled to how a Spartan is scaled.
Well, a lot of the people that have built a 2-scale Warthog, well, I think there's one out there, they basically took the known dimensions of Master Chief standing next to a Warthog and translated it. So, they know that Master Chief is 7 feet tall. Okay, so they have a unit of measurement that they can use to scale how big the Warthog actually is. But the deal is the Warthog wasn't built for the Chief. It is built as a utility vehicle for the armed forces in general.
Which you read in the books all the time. Normal people driving around Warthogs.
So the one that they built supposedly to scale, which is absolutely massive, is actually, in my opinion, oversized. This one that they're building for Outpost is probably a little bit closer to actual scale.
That'd be nice.
A little bit closer. Because in its current form, it doesn't look oversized. Granted, they don't have that much of it done. They basically have it as a rolling chassis that's drivable.
Well, Aircube brought up an interesting point where they wanted to have it be all electric. So, I guess with that in mind, what other car would you have?
Technically, Warthogs are not electric. They run
on
hydrogen.
Technically not. Right. But I don't think we have those engines.
Yes, we do.
Readily available.
An existing gas engine can run on hydrogen with very little modification.
Oh.
Especially
that's right. There is the hydrogen fuel cell. I forgot about that, Laird. You're right.
Is it practical for a show vehicle? Hell no. And the one thing that's always cracked me up is, okay, it's a hydrogen-fueled vehicle, so it basically runs on water. It generates its own hydrogen, but it sounds like a diesel.
Okay. Well, in a way, the Warthog sounds like a diesel in the game.
No, a hydrogen engine, engine that runs on hydrogen sounds like just a regular gasoline engine. They're very quiet. They don't make that much noise.
Well, the Warthog is very loud in the game.
But yeah, then you've got the first 4 games, the Warthog sounds like a diesel. And then 343 took their take on it, and it sounds like a 9-second drag car going down the road. It just, honestly, I like the earlier sound of the Warthog. The race car engine for the Warthog just doesn't sound right. It doesn't depict military.
Yeah, it doesn't fit the profile.
So, I mean, if you wanted to build a Warthog that sounds like what a Warthog sounds like, it would have a diesel engine in it. But it's creative license. I mean, it's a video game, so.
Well, and isn't that what some of the other custom builders have kind of done? with their builds?
Most of them run gas engines in them.
Okay.
I think the big one that they built actually does have a diesel in it, but
okay.
I think all the rest of them that I've seen have been gas.
Gotcha. I think this would be the third
I think
official
it's the fourth official one.
Fourth? Okay.
Well, third or fourth, something like that.
Yeah, it's one of those. It could be fourth. That's it that we have for the dispatch. And then we have our community spotlight by Snickerdoodle. And there's a lot of hand artwork in this week's update. There's still a fair amount of videos and little clips and whatnot, but this is mostly hand-drawn art for this week. And there's a lot of really cool stuff in here.
And there's a lot of, there's several pieces honoring D-Day. So that's cool.
Which today is 75 years for the day that we're recording this.
And then there's some silly stuff like Master Chief screensavers for your phone.
You mean backgrounds?
Backgrounds, yeah.
I was like, screensavers. I missed the screensaver.
Not screensaver, backgrounds. I might have to download this one because the way they got the little Master Chiefs, they'd work really good because my phone has transparent icons. So I'd see the little Master Chiefs behind my icons.
That is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very cartoony-esque Master Chief design.
And then we have the Sangili female dancer, like dressed like belly dancer, just for those of you that haven't looked at it.
It's really pretty.
I like the one of Arbiter in Chief fighting the Flood. That's probably my favorite shot from the whole update.
Trying to find that one. Is that one closer to the end or?
No, it's up towards the top. It is right below the belly dancer, actually.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
You skipped right over it, didn't you?
No. I saw the image. I just didn't notice the Arbiter behind Chief. Because when I first saw this image, I instantly thought of Hidden Xperia's animated outro video. I mean, it doesn't look necessarily the same, but that's just kind of what it reminded me of. But yeah, you're right. I totally missed the Arbiter on that one. I liked the metal version of the Peril music from Halo 2. It was actually, it wasn't overly metal. It was a good, metal-leaning vibe towards that song, and it was really well done. And then the little Polaroid memories artwork at the very beginning of it is also really cool.
Got some really good pencil drawings. One of them of a grunt mech.
Yep, and then there's the painting of Valhalla one, which was really cool. That one's done by Ruggles117 on Twitter.
The ODST suit's really good. So is the Master Chief suit.
Oh, yeah. The ODST suit looks incredible. That Master Chief one's really good as well. Those cosplayers are just insane in what they can do. Couple good montages. Got a couple of machinima things as well. Shout out to Ascend Hyperion for his Origin machinima that got released either beginning of this week or late last week. And I also want to give a shout out to Bacon Media, who will be releasing a incredible machinima here in, I think, a couple of weeks or so. But the trailer he posted on Twitter, I think yesterday or Tuesday, and it is just incredible with what he's done with mixing gameplay and rendered SFM Blender type stuff. It's incredible what he's done. There's some good little Halo Spotlight things with clips and some other artwork. I don't think this made it into this update necessarily, but I want to also give a shout out to Pixel Flare, who's created some animated difficulty videos that is free to anyone to use for their streams. I don't know if you've seen these yet, GT, but they're basically all the difficulty shield emblems, and they're all animated.
Oh, really?
It's really, really well done.
No, I have not seen those.
I will go ahead and pull the Twitter link for everyone that's here in the chat, but I don't know where he's necessarily posted them. He mentioned today that they were free and available to use, but oh yeah, there's a download link actually. They're on ArtStation right now, or the badges are. So this link is to the badges, at least for those that are in our live streams for now. And then if I can find the little animated video of it, actually this is it right here. This is the animated one. When I saw it, I'm like, these should be in Infinite. Like whenever you load up a campaign mission or something like that, this should be animated to like one of the bottom corners or something like that, because these are just so cool. And he even threw in a mythic one in there too, so he has everything from easy up through mythic.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
He's crazy talented.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy talented. So, anything else you want to call out in the spotlight?
No, that pretty much covers what I was looking at.
Yeah, that hits all the high ones for me. There is the one at the very end where it's a engineer or Huragok with a pistol, and it's been termed the Huraglock by its creator, the Bumpin'. I was telling GT before the show started, this kind of reminded me of Virgil a little bit, just with his feisty attitude, since we just finished Bad Blood and talking about it. That was a nice little touch to end this update on, I think. A lot of good hand-drawn stuff, though. Definitely go check it out, because there's just some crazy talent in the community. There is one other one I wanted to actually touch on, and it's one done by at Pedantic Auspice, and this one is titled No Capes, but it's kind of a harkening back to the Master Chief Cape trailer, AE3 trailer, and it's Master Chief with the cracked visor, the cloak, and a Promethean blade. So that one was pretty cool too. Lots of really creative talent out there.
Yes.
It is incredible. We've also got a couple of articles. So Kiki Wolfkill was on the Game Maker's Notebook podcast, and she actually talks a little bit about her time in the Halo universe and briefly touches on the Halo TV show coming up. And there's been a couple of news articles going around which people may have seen. I think the big title from it, and she doesn't talk about anything super specific about the TV show, but she does mention how Game of Thrones had the universe developed in the books and kind of what they did with the TV show and really trying to honor that universe early on. And she mentions in the podcast that there's all these little nuance or timeline events that get mentioned maybe one or two times within the greater story arc, whether it's in the books or the games or that kind of stuff. And she said they still want to try to honor that because those small events actually have a deeper meaning to them at the studio and to the fans. So it sounds like they're trying to make sure that they still stay within universe as much as they can, but also make sure that they have enough to foster a growth of a TV show. I personally haven't watched Game of Thrones, but I know there was a lot of voiced concern for this last season where like how far off it went from the normal tempo of the books and previous seasons of Game of Thrones. I think with Halo, there's probably a little more opportunity there to not necessarily do that because they're adding on to universe instead of retelling certain aspects of the universe. But Kiki did acknowledge the fact that previous adaptations of games to movies or TV shows haven't been done quite as well, and it's because it's really difficult to do. So it's good that it's something that she is acknowledging of, accepting of, and that they're wanting to make sure that they still do Halo fans right in the TV show. So it's the Game Maker's Notebook. It's a podcast done by the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences. There's no episode numbers, but the episode title is Kiki, Wolfkill, and the Halo Universe. Another little article we have is the Xbox app on Windows is changing. Right now it's called the Xbox Console Companion, and it's in preparation of some things that are going to be changing for the Xbox app, and they're looking to kind of retool some of the stuff that they have as far as integration with games on Windows, and seeing some of the concept screenshots of what they want to do with the new app kind of makes it seem like they're taking that next step in what they've already done in trying to make Win32 games available through the Windows Store, and really partnering with Steam a lot more to host Microsoft Studio games. So it looks like they're still trying to progress down that route, and this app name change is one of their pre-steps in this new app that they're going to be deploying.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the concept screenshots of the new app, but it's basically an overlay like you would have for Steam. But one of the nice cool things that I saw in that screenshot is there's an actual CPU and disk usage meter that you can pull up in the overlay.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. They're definitely trying to make the Xbox app the place to go for people that play games and stream. You know, they're trying to make a kind of an all-in-one place for streamers to go. You know, not have to have a separate program like OBS or XSplit or anything like that. Yeah, about the letting you integrate with your webcam, your regular microphone. I mean, even on Xbox, you can use just off-the-shelf webcam. You don't have to have a Connect. You can use a regular standalone microphone like a Yeti or something like that for sound instead of a gaming headset. So it looks like they're really starting to focus on the gamer that likes to broadcast as well.
I mean, the evidence to that is the fact that you can, like on Windows, you can set certain applications to different sound volumes and whatnot, and it seems like they're kind of extending that into this Xbox game bar. You can manage your recordings. You can even have Spotify going at the same time, which is pretty cool. You have your Xbox friends list in there. There's notifications that you can pull up. It's everything integrating into one really cool overlay. I'm excited.
The way this overlay looks, it looks like it basically puts a control panel in front of you that won't be broadcast to your stream if you are streaming. It basically brings all your stuff onto one screen so that you can control it. It does cover up quite a bit of your game, depending on how much of
The stuff you're using,
Windows you use. But that's what it appears to me to kind of look like. Or it's something that you can bring up and look at and then put back away.
It seems like they've kind of adjusted their efforts in supporting gamers into defining what they think gamers should be doing and taking what other platforms have done, like Steam and the NVIDIA overlays for GeForce and that kind of stuff, and just really taking into what gamers have been asking for. And that's cool to see. It's a good direction to take, and I think for the most part we're going to see some really cool things, and I can't wait to try it out and see how it works with streaming things like Halo Wars 2 and some other fan games that might be coming here soon, and other fan mods which I still need to play, like Sins of a Solar Empire and Operation Trebuchet and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the one thing, and I've got to check this here real quick. See, I'm trying to See where you set up your streaming stuff.
In the game bar for Windows, I don't think you do. I don't think that feature is built into the current Windows experience.
No, because you can stream.
Or maybe it's just for Mixer.
Yeah. But that's just it. I mean, you can only stream to one platform. Which, I mean, I understand that, they own Mixer.
Right.
But they really need to give people the option to stream to whatever platform they want. Wherever their audience is, if they want them to use these tools.
Yeah, I think there's a possibility that could be incorporated for people like us, though, that want to stream to multiple platforms. I think we're still going to be stuck with having to use Restream or XSplit or stuff like that. But for those who want to just stream to one place, yeah, it makes sense that they would incorporate multiple streaming platforms into it. And maybe they're just start off with Mixer, since Microsoft owns Mixer now.
Well, I mean, even just for the simple ability to, configure it to go to Restream.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Do like a custom RTMP stream if needed. No, that's a good point. So let's move on to the main topic of the show. We've got E3 coming up next week. The Xbox press briefing, wow, will be on Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific time. And there is a lot of speculation about that going around. Obviously, we've heard the Halo rumors about an official Infinite trailer, some stuff about MCC on PC, some possible Halo Outpost stuff, and then there's other little rumors and wishes of things to come about. But let's go ahead and talk about some Halo stuff. So last year we got the Halo Infinite announcement or tease with the game engine demo. It wasn't a trailer, it was a demo.
Yeah, not gameplay demo, just game engine. Yeah, sure. We'll probably get a proper trailer.
I would imagine so.
I don't think if we see any gameplay, it's going to be very brief. I don't think they're going to show a lot off.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be an announcement trailer. I would agree with you that there's not going to be too much there that they're going to want to spoil or give much insight to. It might set the stage a little bit for the story of Infinite, aside from just the scene that we got in the game engine demo on all the little teases that we saw in the Pelican and the Sentinel, the Marines, and that kind of stuff, which is, I don't know, if you look at the Believe trailer for Halo 3, none of that was really anything in game except for the bubble shield. So there's certain elements of these kinds of trailers that stay in the game, but I guess for the game engine demo.
Well, the deal with that particular trailer is the fact that it was actually running on the Halo 3 engine. So it was as much an engine demo as a game trailer. Where, this time it was just an engine demo. It did, I guess you could call it a game trailer, but because it did announce Halo Infinite. But with the Infinite trailer, it focused more on the engine that it did the game and what the engine was capable of. Where with the Believe trailer, yes, it was there and it showed what the engine was capable of, which was absolutely amazing considering we were talking about the Xbox 360 at the time. But it also gave some pretty significant clues to the game and actually showed us parts of the game. It showed us what the brutes were going to look like. It showed us what Chief was going to look like. It showed us the new equipment in the case of the bubble shield. There was a lot more stuff in your face for Halo 3 that actually showed up in the game. We got space deer and space rhinos and space bugs or space dust.
All the spacey stuff.
And a retriever sentinel,
And Marines.
there's a lot in the trailer, but it was focused. To me, it was focused a lot more on the engine than it was.
Yeah, the capabilities of the game that they were looking to showcase with the Slipspace engine. And granted, the engine itself is a huge undertaking.
Oh yeah,
it looks really good compared to how Halo's looked in the past, and the fact that we're finally getting to a point where we're getting a new engine. Granted, there's still some legacy code in there, but for the most part, it's a brand new engine. That just gives, and I'll use the term infinite possibilities, near infinite possibilities of what they could do with the engine. And people have even said they could do other games with that engine, as if it's something like Unity or Unreal Engine, then they might not just stick to first-person shooters on the Slipspace engine. There's other kinds of games that they could do. So if they wanted to move Halo Wars into the Slipspace engine, they could do that.
With Microsoft's history on that kind of stuff, I don't see that.
Neither do I. But it was just an observation that some people have brought up.
Maybe for the actual Microsoft game studios, possibly. But as far as being a standalone engine like Unity, I really don't see.
Well, I mean standalone as far as within either 343 or Microsoft. Not necessarily open for anyone and everyone to use.
No, I could see other Microsoft-owned studios using it. But as far as being available for all game developers, yeah, I really...
I was just mentioning it in the line of they don't necessarily have to stick to first-person shooter games on Slipspace. They could, say, bring the RTS Halo Wars franchise into the Slipspace engine, or maybe do the canceled Mega Bloks game in the Slipspace engine, or some other kind of experience.
Yeah, I'm sure it's got several possibilities. It does sound like the way that they've talked about it, that it is going to be more of a jack of all trades engine instead of being a very focused engine like the current Halo engine. I'm not saying that the current Halo engine couldn't do other things, but it would take a lot of modification to the engine itself to make it be capable of doing those other things.
Masters would be a good one to talk about that with.
Mm-hmm. I'm by no means a whiz when it comes to programming or game engines or anything like that. Matter of fact, I haven't got the first clue on how any of it works, other than I pushed the button on the controller and the character on the screen does what I want it to most of the time. But back to E3. We'll hear about Infinite. We'll hear about Master Chief Collection coming to PC. I almost think they're probably going to announce a date for when they're going to release it for testing.
I wonder if that's...
I think, and that might be why we haven't heard anything yet.
Could be.
But other than it's looking to be June, just like it was looking to be May.
But I wonder if they're going to try to deconflict the MCC testing with Halo Infinite testing. To me, it seems more along the lines where they probably are going to want to at least get done with the Reach testing on the Halo Insider flights. And I see maybe more of late fall of maybe hearing about when Infinite testing could be made available.
Yeah.
Because based on the stream from earlier this year where they were starting to talk about Infinite, it sounded like Xbox Insider type testing would begin probably late this year, and then the PC stuff might not even hit until early 2020.
Yeah, at the rate that they're going, it's going to be late this year, early next year before we even get a chance to put our hands on Infinite. I'm really thinking like they did with Halo 5 and it be a Christmas thing.
Yeah.
I was really hoping that they would get get it out a little earlier than that, but just to give them more time, because with what they did with Halo 5, now granted, they did a good job in rebalancing things for the launch of Halo 5. There was some feedback that was given to them that they were unable to act on. So I really wanted them to give themselves as much time as possible to be able to change these things. But right now, with this MCC on PC thing, I really think it's going to push the flighting for Infinite back. Because, you don't, I wouldn't think you'd want to have two flighting programs active
I
at the same time.
wouldn't think so.
But who knows? It's quite possible that the group that would be interested in flighting Infinite wouldn't really be interested in flighting MCC, because the MCC, a lot of its flighting is the classic Halo player is the ones that are involved in it. I'm not saying they wouldn't be involved with the Infinite testing as well. But I think the Infinite testing would have a bigger draw as far as diversity of players as being, the
I
new
agree.
game.
I think there's going to be a lot more people interested in Infinite because not everyone's going to be necessarily interested in Reach on PC for that Insider piece. Although there is going to be Reach Insider testing for Xbox, but all the other Insider testing stuff for Halo CE 2, 3, and the rest of the games, there might not be as much interest there.
Yeah, sometime between now and when MCC comes to PC, I need to get me a new hard drive for my laptop.
They're cheap these days. I just bought a SSD to swap out the MacBook Pro that I just bought, and I got a 500 gig SSD for $80.
Yeah, I need a terabyte at least, because I've already got a 500 full. Matter of fact, to install Project Contingency, I had to uninstall some stuff. I've got my laptop. It's stripped down to name, rank, and serial number right now.
Oh, man. Needs more storage.
Yeah.
Dang, that's a lot. Although, you make a good point, because my game drive, so I have two solid states. I have one that's for my OS, and then the second one's for games and other big programs like Adobe Creative Suite. That one's getting full.
Yeah, I've looked at, I don't, my computer still has a CD drive, and they do make carriers where I could put a second drive in that slot. And I've looked at doing that as well. Just adding a second drive and moving all my games onto it, or some of them at least.
Yeah.
Because, MCC is going to be huge. It's going to be, 80 gigabytes. See, the part that it's kind of got me wondering is it going to run on my laptop?
Well, I guess if you look at Halo Wars 2, does that run on your laptop?
Yeah, but it's not a real demanding game.
But they've been able to optimize Xbox games to the point where it's,
like I said, I don't know. The only Xbox game that I have on it, other than Halo Wars, is I do have Recore on it, and Recore does seem to play okay. But those are UDP games. Halo Wars and Recore. They're not Win32 games. Now, there's another game on there, Destiny, which it struggles with it. I have basically set on lowest settings, limited the frame rate. I've reduced the resolution of the monitor, and I still get points where the game lags pretty hard in frame rate. I think it might be time just to bite the bullet and find a laptop.
Could be.
I mean, for what I originally bought the laptop for, it still does that job very well. But I'm asking it to do things that it really wasn't intended to do.
Yeah, makes sense. Because how old's the laptop?
15, 14 or 15. I can't remember
So not
exactly when I
not
bought it.
too old.
Yeah, but it wasn't a top of the line laptop at the time either. It's definitely wasn't a gaming
Well,
laptop.
the MacBook Pro that I just bought was a mid 2012 one. Just because it's one of the ones that still it's basically the cheapest Mac that runs the latest OS for Mac.
Yeah, I mean, mine does have. It has a GTX 750M graphics card?
Mobile, gotta love those mobile graphics cards.
So it's not. It's not a gaming graphics card. It does have a dedicated graphics card in it, graphics chip in this case. But it wasn't. It's not intended to run these AAA games. Now it runs like Halo 2, Halo CE. It runs fine. That's why I'm kind of curious to see how it's going to run MCC. If I turn down the settings to where they're more to the original settings, and not cranked up to like 4K, will it still run it? If it will still run it, then I'll be happy. Because, for what I want the machine to do, it'll do it. Because really all I want it there, I don't want it to be, I don't need it to be there to play online, which, to be available, I'll just not be, actually play online. It's just to kill time, play some campaign missions and stuff. It's just kind of my mobile game.
And remember that all these games were built to run on hardware that came out in 2005.
Right. Or 2007.
Well, I thought Xbox 360 came out in 2005.
No, I guess it did.
Because it was the year after Halo 2.
Halo 3 came out in 2007. There's 2005 or older. But with the enhancements that they've made to the game, I don't know how much that's changed it.
True. Well, I guess that's just the rendering of the textures and at higher resolutions than it kind of doing the sub rendering at longer distances type of thing. There's a term for that.
But that's besides the point. I just really can't wait. They're going to talk about their new line of hygiene products.
Yeah. Yes, they are.
Apparently, they have a total. I heard them say they have a total of 41 games they're going to talk about.
That's a lot. Obviously, they're going to be talking about Gears because Gears is going to be a huge one this year.
They're not going to spend 10 minutes on each one, but they'll probably announce a bunch. Which that'll be 5 seconds a game or something.
Yeah, they're like their indie lineup or something like that, or what used to be their indie lineup.
Yeah, but no, this is, from what I understand, this is first-party games, or maybe it was 14 first-party games. I don't remember, but it was a double-digit number, and it seemed like a lot.
And I've also heard that it's scheduled to be 2 hours long, which would be the longest press conference for Microsoft.
I will be watching it, and I probably will be pushing it out on my Mixer stream just to show my astonishment when Halo shows up, and the rest of it will be like, No. I do expect them to talk about the service they're working on, their game streaming service. I'm sure, the xCloud project. I'm sure they will talk more about Game Pass and changes they'll be making to it. What I'm really interested in is this xCloud service. Is it going to be, and it probably will be, an additional fee, or is it going to be included with Xbox Live?
My guess is
or Xbox Game Pass.
My guess it would be an additional add-on like Xbox Game Pass was to Xbox Live.
Yeah. The reason I say that is because the game streaming, you still have to buy the games.
Right, you're just streaming them.
You can't, it's not like Game Pass streaming. you still have to own the rights to the game. So you would still need a Game Pass membership, or you would need to actually own a physical copy of the game.
I guess I could see you. Well, I guess it could be bundled into Xbox Game Pass and then have the xCloud be a smaller fee. So maybe not $9.99 a month, but maybe like $4.99 a month for the xCloud edition.
Yeah, I'd be interesting to see how that is, and I would really like to see an actual demo of it. I mean, they did do a little demo on
Inside Xbox,
one of the Xbox inside Xbox things, but I'd like to see. I would actually like to see a live demo of it, which I know is probably not the easiest thing to do at a convention like that, but seeing that it's technically before the convention, before you have full capacity crowds there eating up Wi-Fi, I would like to see it.
Press conference is not even at E3. It's at a different theater.
Well, I mean, in the building, I should say.
Well, the press briefing is going to be the biggest time where everyone's there. But the demo on the Inside Xbox stream was actually a live demo, but at the same time, you could see the delay clearly.
Yeah, and I'd like to see where they're at with that. Because the way they've described it, and thanks Laird to point me to some videos. Part of the game streaming service part of the stuff they're working on is taking in account the lag that occurs between the server and the device. Just like in matchmaking where, it takes in account to a point the lag between the different people in the match. Because, not all people connect to the server at the same rate. No matter, they can all have identical internet connections, but they're different distances away from the server. So the server has to compensate for that. And they're working on doing that with the streaming service so that you can have the best experience playing a game on a mobile platform like that. Now, are you going to be paying competitive Halo on it? No.
Absolutely not.
Matter of fact, a first-person shooter is probably going to be pretty unplayable on it. But I would still like
I could see a third-person shooter like Campaign Mass Effect or something might be able to get away with that. Or Assassin's Creed or Fable or maybe Gears.
Forza...
No.
With Forza, it's something that you could adapt to.
I guess if you're not necessarily having to be meticulous about it.
Yeah. Once you learn tracks, you can learn to lead your control inputs a little bit. It's just getting in a rhythm. But then when you go sit down in front of your Xbox and play it, then you're all screwed up. It's certain games, it'll work better than others. Anything that's real twitchy, I'm not seeing where it's going to work very well.
Yeah.
But you never know. They may come through and just absolutely blow it out of the water.
They could, but that's...
I mean, especially with, the 5G network starting to show up now, which, granted, we're still probably another 5 years away from them being to a point where they're actually practical. I think right now there's like 3 5G phones out there. But it's a technology that'll be developing, and they're going to continue to develop on it. So it is quite possible the early stuff will be either very low cost or included with
Game Pass
or Xbox Live. I would see more included with Game Pass than with just general.
Yeah, I don't see an inclusion with Xbox Live. Maybe Game Pass and maybe a smaller fee than Game Pass and Live, because both of those right now are basically $9.99 a month.
I'm thinking with Game Pass, the game streaming add-on, another $1.99 a month or $2.99 a month, something like that for the early, until they really get it built out and working good, and then you'll probably see the price climb a little bit. It's like as Xbox Live has aged, it's gradually gone up in price. At first it was $40 a year, and then it was $50 a year, $60 a year, and I think the current price is $70 a year. Now, granted, you can find it on sale.
It's still
all over the
$60 a
place,
year.
but $60.
I'll have to see about that. I could see up to maybe $4.99. I would say if they're past $9.99, then that's a dead end right there. I could.
Honestly, if they're past $5 a month, it's dead. It kind of all depends on what the other services charge, because Google's also working on a streaming service as well, which I don't know. I don't know how well that's going to work. Don't get me wrong, Google's got the money, and they've got the data centers.
And so does Microsoft.
Yeah, but Google doesn't really have the library.
No.
I mean, right now, I think they've got like 50 games, where Xbox has got several hundred that are, that can be put on xCloud right now, not in 6 months. They could be on xCloud today if they wanted them there.
Indeed.
Which, that like I said, I'm really kind of holding my breath on that one, because that could affect Halo in a mobile situation. Xbox is also looking at more Steam integration. Instead of being the UDP apps, they're looking to support more of the Win32 games.
I'd be surprised if they did not talk about that during the press brief.
I'm sure they're going to talk about that. It seems like even Microsoft is moving away from their universal Windows platform, which, for apps like your weather app or Twitter or your banking app is fine. That works just fine, because they're small apps, and they need to be universal. They need to be able to work on a tablet, be able to work on a phone, and computer for most of it. Not really, but it's handy to have. Especially just to have the apps I've got installed on my computer are really there for notification, not really to use.
Because I've got the Twitter app of the Facebook app, but I still mostly use Firefox and web browser to navigate most of those. Yeah.
Right there on my favorites bar is TweetDeck.
Same.
If I want to go to Instagram, I've got a shortcut for Instagram. I use the web page, but I have the apps installed for notifications, like when Duststorm posts out of random stuff out of nowhere.
That happens sometimes.
I always like getting the notification. Duststorm has posted something and hasn't posted something
on my
for
Facebook,
a while.
yeah.
No, on Instagram.
Oh, yeah. I rarely post on Instagram. I'll probably be posting a lot more next week, though, with E3. To your comment earlier, Phil Spencer tweeted out they have 14 Xbox Game Studio games in the show this year.
Okay. I knew there was a 4 and a 1, so I just inverted them.
14.
So 14.
And then there was another tweet apparently that was something along the lines of they've invited someone to the show. And I'm wondering if that's a hint at Sony, because of the announcement that they're working with Sony to gin up that next gaming experience as far as like servers and probably part of Project xCloud and whatnot. So I'm wondering if we're going to hear more about that. What?
I find it interesting. And this doesn't relate to Xbox directly, but like I said, like I mentioned earlier, Bungie had their reveal stream for their new expansion, and they announced that they are going to be on a streaming service as well, but they're going to be on Google's streaming service. it kind of makes me wonder how much animosity they still have against Microsoft. Anyway, that's another subject. The way that part is setting up, I think Xbox has got the lead. I know PlayStation has the PlayStation Now stuff, but I don't know exactly how that works because I don't have a PlayStation and I don't have a PlayStation.
It's similar to Game Pass.
From what I understand, PlayStation has also talked about doing a streaming service as well. It's going to be an interesting E3.
Yes, it is. And it's funny, Microsoft's probably going to be talking more about xCloud.
I'm sure it's going to be a sizable chunk of the briefing.
Yeah. But to your point earlier about xCloud and then Google's streaming service, it's kind of interesting. Oh, and you're right. PlayStation Now is their remote play streaming service type stuff as well. So, yeah, it's not their Game Pass type thing. I guess that's called something else that I'm not. Is that PSN Plus or something? Or it comes with PSN Plus subscription. I don't know. Again, not a PlayStation person.
Yeah, me neither. Last PlayStation I owned was a PS1, the white box.
Yeah.
Well, it's
right. Had the little flip lid up for the drive. I have a PlayStation 3, but I haven't booted up in a while.
Yeah, I didn't even make it to PlayStation 2 because I went from PlayStation to Xbox.
I did have a couple of relatives who had PlayStation 2, and that's where I started playing Need for Speed. So that was a lot of fun.
Well, I used to play Gran Turismo on PlayStation 1. I had 2 memory cards filled with cars, different cars. That's how much I played it. I mean, I literally would spend hours tuning on the car because in Gran Turismo you could really tune cars, and I would literally spend hours tuning on a car for a specific track.
Well, Gran Turismo is kind of one of the, as far as I know, one of the games that really helped define what those kind of fine-tuning racing games are today, right?
Don't get me wrong, Forza is a good racing game, but it's nowhere near Gran Turismo. At least the Gran Turismo I played.
So, like Forza Motorsport, you mean? Not Horizon, but Motorsport.
Both of them, Horizon and Motorsport. They don't seem to. Don't get me wrong, they got great looking cars and they're fun to drive, but they don't. It just doesn't seem like they had the tunability that like Gran Turismo had. I mean, you could really dial in a car for Gran Turismo. And me and my buddy, we would sit there and race, and we would beat on each other.
That's cool.
It didn't matter which track we were on. We were side by side the whole time. I mean, we were using that chrome horn the whole race.
That's cool.
Jeez. I think that thumb is still dead from pushing on that D-pad.
Oh, those were the days.
You ever play a racing game on a D-pad? We had just the regular little brick controllers.
The only ones I really remember playing is Mario Kart on Nintendo.
Yeah. We didn't have these fancy thumbsticks. We were sitting there with a D-pad going,
and 2 buttons, an A and B.
Yeah, we had gas and brake.
Yeah.
Gas, brake, left and right. That's it.
And a look backwards if they had the capability.
Yeah, you never had to. When me and my buddy were running, you didn't have time to look backwards.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole show you the line thing, the best line to get around the track, it didn't exist. You just went for it, and you figured out the best line.
Yep. When you actually had to rely on your own skill and not an aid in the game to help you.
Yeah, there was no traction control. There was no, brake assist or anything. You figured it out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that was my first experience with pressure sensitive buttons.
Wow.
The original PlayStation, the buttons were pressure sensitive.
I didn't know that. It's kind of innovative for its time.
The buttons were not the D-pad. The
Right,
D-pad
right.
was just on off, but the gas and brake buttons, the A and B button, they were pressure sensitive.
Wow. Okay.
So it wasn't so bad because it was that part of the thumb on the A and B. So, it wasn't the tip.
Right. That's funny.
But anyway,
they'll probably talk about the console as well, the Scarlet, coming out for next year.
I really hope that they talk about that and actually reveal what it is going to be called, maybe what it's going to look like.
The two form factors. I think the rumor is there's going to be one that's has a disk drive and one that's diskless.
There's going to be like an X version and an S version, like we have now. You're going to have the high-end gaming console, and then you're going to have just the entry-level game console.
I probably won't be buying one until there's a Halo Edition version, because all my stuff I'll probably get on PC if I can. So we'll see.
Well, if Infinite supports crossplay, I don't know if I'm going to get the new Xbox or not.
Like I said, I would probably only get it if there was a Halo Edition. If there wasn't. And I think they've already said that there's going to only be, or there's not going to be next-gen exclusive. It's supposed to come to the whole family of Xbox One consoles.
Well, they said that, 2 years ago? That the Xbox One family of consoles, it's and future consoles are going to be interconnected. Your Elite controller will be able to take to the next generation console. The next generation games will be able to be played on the older consoles, just not to the highest fidelity.
Right. Which is fine, because for the most part, I think it's one of those things. If people, I think the original Xbox or the Xbox One S will probably still be that entry console to the Xbox One family.
Yeah, the Xbox, the way that what I've been seeing is the Xbox One box is going to be stopped in production, and it'll be moved to the new generation. You'll be able to pick up S's and X's for a while until, inventory runs out.
And GameStop will have their trading program until they go out of business.
Yeah. But there will be no new ones manufactured. There will be no new X's, no new S's manufactured. They'll move on to the new console, the Scarlet and the Python, or whatever the other one is. Where those will be your Scarlet will be your entry level console for, $399 or something like that. And then you'll have your top of the line one for, $499 or $549 or whatever price point they decide to put it at.
Then all us PC people will stay on their PCs if we can.
I know that with AMD's recent announcements with their new was it 7 nanometer architecture, that it bodes well for the Xbox.
Yeah.
The specs they're releasing for their actual consumer chips, Intel better be worried. If they perform the way they're slated to, it could be interesting. And it could make the Xbox a real force to be reckoned with. I mean, even verging on pushing the boundaries of what PC and console, where that PC console line is.
It certainly could. I don't think it'd be $2,000, Arikibo. I think that's a little high for a consumer console.
Yeah, I don't think the most I would see that is, a $600 one.
Right.
That's the most I could see them charging for that. Anything more than that, they're stepping outside the console genre.
I would agree, because everyone just blew up when PlayStation 3 announced that they were coming out at $700.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can go above 600 without a really good reason to.
When you get above that $600 mark, the PC starts having a lot more draw when it comes to people that are looking to play games. And if the casual gamer, they're not even going to be looking at that high performance console. They'll be looking at the entry level one, the $400 one. The only people that are going to be buying that high end one are the people that are serious about playing video games. And you get past that $600 mark, and then PC starts to look a lot more attractive.
Yeah, because you have a lot of that hardware in the console. While it's purpose built, you can spend an extra $200 on top of that $600, and you can get a pretty good gaming rig that can do more than just gaming.
At $650, you can build a pretty decent PC these days. I mean, it won't be the latest and greatest, but it'll definitely work as well or better than any console as far as, picture quality, frame rate. Now, granted, like I said, with the way they're talking, that line is getting a little blurrier, but we'll see.
I wanted to bring up something that T-Lock had mentioned over in the Halo Hub Discord, and it was a prediction for Infinite. He said, for his prediction, it'll be a platform like World of Warcraft. There won't be an Infinite 2 or 3 or etc. There'll be DLC every 6 to 12 months that adds new PvP maps, firefight maps, campaign missions, etc. Games and all future DLC free with Game Pass to keep the game's population high. Wishful thinking, but a Spartan can hope. And then crossplay for all PvE content and input detection for controller, mouse, and keyboard for PvP.
Yeah, I hope for PvE that there is crossplay. PvP, it doesn't have to be there, at least for match-made games.
Yeah, leave it in for customs.
Social, for social games, customs, or just social playlists, then that's fine. It can be cross-platform, but when you start talking competitive, like ranked, then I do think you need to separate those players out. The controller players with the controller players, the keyboard players with the keyboard players. But, when it comes to just funds, I don't see any reason to separate the player base.
I don't either.
And as far as the Infinite being a platform, with the way they've been talking about it, it could be that.
I think it's a possibility. I think we'll know maybe more after we see the trailer at E3, but it's a possibility. I mean, if you look at trying to have a game as a service and not necessarily as a specific release, then it would make sense that, okay, future stories within the Halo universe would just be an add-on, because that's, in a way, kind of what Destiny's done a bit, right?
Well, yeah. Destiny...
I mean, granted, they had a Destiny 2, and it was a whole new release, but that's probably adding new features, capabilities, and other things.
Yeah, and totally screwing the game up.
There is that.
They finally get Destiny right, and then they brought out Destiny 2 and screwed up everything.
Good old Activision influencing Bungie.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. It looks like the way Bungie's doing it is you buy expansions. Kind of, like World of Warcraft. You can play the game all you want. But as the game ages, they offer expansions, which increases your power level, increases the loot pool of gear you can get. I don't know how well that particular formula will work for Halo. And it kind of all depends on what kind of pricing they're looking at. If it's another, if the expansion's another $70, then it's probably not going to work.
Well, and for me personally,
but if the expansions are like $20, $30, $40, it might work a little bit better. But the campaign is going to have to be on par with classic Halo campaigns. I mean, it's going to have to be engaging. They're going to have to tell a great story to justify buying that expansion.
Agreed.
For that kind of money. Because if it's just going to be, multiplayer maps, $20 max. Actually, $20 is probably a little expensive, but $20 max.
Yeah. No,
But yeah, I could see it as a possibility for Infinite.
And I personally would not be opposed to buying that DLC content for an expansion on the story. Because if it's something where a platform is the way that they're going with Infinite, then you're basically buying the next chapter in the Halo story.
I mean, I do believe there's something to the reason it's called Infinite.
Sure.
It's not called Halo 6. There's a reason they call it Infinite.
Sure.
And it does kind of sound like it's going to be the beginning of a story that they're going to continue to iterate on. And not so much where you buy a game every 3 years. But the other problem is that is if you do something like that, then someone that comes into new to Infinite, they have to play catch up. They can't just buy the latest expansion and play it because they have to buy the base game as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that works. We'll know soon enough, hopefully. That was the only kind of input I really got from anybody for this topic. Other than that, we're just kind of talking amongst ourselves, but I think we kind of beat the Halo topic to death.
I mean, to continue on that, Bungie is changing up the way they do things. Like there's new expansion that's coming out this September. You will be able to be new to Destiny, buy the expansion, and play the expansion. You don't have to complete the rest of the game. You can buy the expansion and play it with your friends. I don't know exactly how this is going to work, but the way they're talking, they want to take away that border of people that have content and don't.
Well, and I honestly think that was probably an Activision thing.
They did it in Halo with map packs. I know it's just multiplayer, but it still put a divide in the community. When you want to, because with Halo, the multiplayer is the lifeblood of the game. That's what keeps it relevant. But when you put a paywall there where some people have the DLC and some people don't, well, the people that buy the DLC feel like they're ripped off because they don't get to ever play it.
That's valid.
And that's always been my complaint with paid DLC is it's great, but if you never get to play it, then what's the point?
I think that was also a time where paying for DLC and that cumulative experience was kind of the expected experience for consoles. Not to say that was necessarily the way it should have been, but that's kind of the sense I get with it. But to your point, that those times have changed. It's one of those things where people don't necessarily want to buy every piece of content. So there should be something out there that allows people to kind of pick and choose what they want. And if they do it right, then people are going to be encouraged to buy the next expansion for Infinite. And if you're going to buy a next expansion for $20 instead of paying $60 for a brand new game, that's another way to ensure more people are going to latch on to that pay model.
See, I think if it does work this way, you won't buy the multiplayer part. You'll buy the campaign part.
And then have multiplayer be infused with microtransactions.
Well, no, I think what they'll do is they'll rely on I'm sure microtransactions are still going to be in Halo.
I think Chris Lee said something about not having paid microtransactions in Halo Infinite.
Well, we'll see. But I think they might rely on the lore nuts out there to fund the multiplayer maps. I mean, honestly, don't get me wrong, there's work that goes into the multiplayer maps, but there's much more work that goes into creating a campaign.
Yeah. But that's not to discount the effort that's put into the multiplayer stuff, though.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying that. The people that design the multiplayer maps work their butts off to get it done. But the volume of work that is done from multiplayer to campaign, I gotta think that the campaign's more work.
I think it is up front, but the whole maintaining the multiplayer experience and then the Forge stuff as well, that's a significant piece. And I think you're right. I think the campaign definitely is a lot because it is the story that you're coming up with. It's a lot of linear experiences that you have to make all of those very long levels. So there's a lot more design into that, but there's still a significant portion that's multiplayer.
Yeah.
But for an example that kind of goes along with what you're saying, Fortnite has the mode that they originally came out with, which you have to buy, which is the survival mode, and then they added on the Battle Royale for free. So there's a model out there that kind of exhibits what you're describing already.
I'm sure we'll find out more soon.
If not at E3, then we'll probably get a glimpse of it down the road, closer to when testing comes out or something.
I'm sure by PAX we'll have a probably pretty good idea.
We'll see. Because it's still way off till 2020 probably before it even comes out. So there's still a lot of time.
I'm not saying they're going to come out right out and say things, but I bet you we'll start getting some hints. Now, next year E3
we should know
is going to be a big one.
We'll know for sure a lot more then.
Next year's E3, Halo is going to be front and center.
That, the new Xboxes, and the rumor is that Halo Infinite will launch with the next Xbox.
And I believe it. I believe next year we'll have a new Halo game. And in my opinion, it needs to come out next year. I don't want them to rush. And if they need to delay it, they need to delay it. But the game really does need to come out next year. It needs to launch with the new Xbox.
Yes. It really needs to. Unless there's something tragic that happens during development. So that's all we have to say about E3. I'll be out there. If anyone is going or wants to hook up, hit me up on Twitter at Duststorm or at Podtacular. I'll be catching both. I'll be also posting stuff on our Instagram and all of our social media. So find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Discord, and catch up with me there. Also, make sure you check us out on our social or our streaming platforms. We stream our podcast on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And we have Fraggin' Fridays, which is hosted by GT, taking place at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. This week, I will not be streaming my achievements because I'll be in LA for E3. But the following week, I will be streaming for achievements. Don't know if I'm going to be sticking with Halo CE Definitive Edition with Laird or trying to go back to Halo Wars 2. Might stick on Definitive Edition for a little bit longer. Maybe through the end of June if Laird is up for it. Also, no podcast next week since I'll be out at E3. I will be recording some interviews at E3 though, so there will be content coming out, but we will just not be having a live podcast episode. Also, make sure you check out our Xbox Club and our Spartan Company. We do have room in our Spartan Company, and we are still going for that Achilles helmet. So if you want to come on over and help us, we would be more than happy if you did so. We are 18 out of 31 commendations completed. We've got a couple of close-ish ones that we'll be finishing up soon, and then obviously the long ones that are far away. Our closest one is from downtown, which is killing an enemy Spartan at long distance. We have just under 400 of those to go. I think that'll wrap it up for tonight. It's going to be an interesting week next week. Hopefully we'll get you out to one of these conventions here soon, GT. I think the plan for you is to try to make it out to PAX next year, right?
Mm-hmm.
That'll be cool. Cool to meet up again.
That is the current plan of attack.
hopefully next year I can get the wife to come out.
I would like to meet her.
I would like to meet her. So I think next year we might get her out there. And next year being a big year with Infinite, most likely, I think that would be the year to go. We'll see. All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you all in a couple of weeks for the podcast. We'll catch some of you all tomorrow for our Fragging Friday. Till then, keep on fragging them trucks.